Playwright Tarell Alvin McCraney met actor Jeremy Pope when his play Choir Boy made its New York stage debut off-Broadway. 5 years and one Oscar win later, the two have reunited as Choir Boy bows on Broadway. Let's meet McCraney, the mastermind behind this very personal play, and the rising new talent who lifts his voice in the leading role. Choir Boy centers on the students at a prep school struggling with the institution's deep roots in tradition. For playwright Tarell Alvin McCraney, the story was born out of his relationship with his own community of Liberty City, Miami, which was also the setting of his hit film, Moonlight.
Play has always come from the same impulse, which is that at once I love and am invested in my community, and I want that community to thrive, and I want it to be prideful of the people who come from it. But having a love for your community sometimes also means that your community asks you to change, bend things about yourself.
Growing up gay with a love of writing and the arts wasn't the most accepted of life paths on the streets of McCraney's childhood home.
There seemed to be a sort of societal push to leave my community. That clearly what I needed wasn't inside my community, it was outside. How do you be your full self in a community that may not always accept fully who you are and what you are? And I have no answers for that. And so whenever I have no answers for a question, I make a play about it.
Although Choir Boy marks his Broadway debut, McCraney has received great acclaim for his plays off-Broadway, in London, and regionally from coast to coast. A play with rousing gospel music, Choir Boy premiered at London's Royal Court Theatre in 2012 and New York's Manhattan Theatre Club off-Broadway in 2013.
The mythical school that we've created centers around the legacy of Negro spirituals. Negro spirituals are probably some of the greatest treasures in terms of the cosmology of the Black experience in this country over the last 500 years. And then we get introduced to Ferris, who is a young queer man who is charged with leading that legacy in this high school. And what does that mean for him? How does he find his space, his own voice?
Way down yonder by myself, I couldn't hear nobody pray.
Ferris is played by Broadway newcomer Jeremy Pope, whose face graces the marquee here at the Samuel J. Friedman Theater.
When I heard that the marquee was up, I didn't want anyone to send me pictures. I just want to see it, and as soon as I got it and saw it, I just called my mom, and she was driving, so she pulled over and was like, "What? Let me see it."
Pope previously earned raves for playing Ferris in the play's off-Broadway debut. The role has brought unexpected joy for this rising star.
You know, it's kind of like the goal. It's like, maybe one day you'll be on Broadway. For me, I was like, maybe I'll be in Lion King or Seaweed and Hairspray, but there was just a few options for me. When I think about how this role is setting an example or just offering representation for young Ferrises or young J. Popes out there, and looking like, yes, you can be in Lion King, but also maybe you could be a Ferris in Choir Boy, or maybe you can be whatever else. Like, there's just opportunities for us to kind of shine and talk about our story.
The list of characters of color on Broadway, leading characters like this, is not that large, but then when you look at queer characters of color,
you get real slim.
It gets real slim
on one hand.
I always think it's important for folks to recognize and see themselves. That's thrilling. I think also what's important is that folks who see themselves will also go, that's not all of me. It's important for people to be able to engage in those different conversations, and that we're all having them together, and that there are many perspectives to think about.
It's not a mainstream thing. It's not a thing that you see a queer young Black artist up there as a lead. Here we have, a beautiful story where we kind of go through all of the young boys, but it centers and focuses on Ferris and the things that he, is striving for. And I just think that is so beautiful. And while it can be heartbreaking at times, it's just honest and truthful.
Between Choir Boy's off-Broadway and Broadway debuts, McCraney took the national stage when he won the 2017 Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay alongside director Barry Jenkins for Moonlight, which also took the Best Picture trophy after a surprise snafu.
This is not a joke. Moonlight has won Best Picture. Moonlight, Best Picture.
How's your Oscar?
I think it's okay. I haven't seen it in a while.
No?
No.
Where'd you put it?
I gave it to a management company to hold.
Okay.
Because I was like, I don't live anywhere.
How do you sort of look at that whole experience?
I mean, the most memorable stuff is that, you know, we put up screens in Liberty City. You know, they watched the Oscars in Liberty City, and then the power went out, and then it came back on, and we had won, and they were sort of like, you know, like that stuff is thrilling to me, because I'm like, again, it's, you know, those 12 blocks that I grew up in that are just now even more immortalized by this experience. So that's been, you know, just great and fun.
When that moment happened and the world recognized Tarell McCraney, I was so thrilled for him. We are very grateful for the Oscar, but I'm just excited for whatever is to come for him, and excited that people are tuned into the Tarell Alvin McCraney, you know, because he is a special human being, and we are grateful to have him.